David, we're so happy and we're so excited. And if we would love to have this opportunity for you to tell us about yourself, our families want to know about you, your background, and what are your academic goals. This is a really big week for you, and we would like you to share some information about who you are and what you stand for. So feel free and you're welcome to speak. You have around 5 minutes to tell us all about yourself, your goals, and your academic objectives. Thank you so much, David. We're ready.
Hey, thank you, Francis. Before I get into where I stand on some of the academic issues, I just want to say that I am by far the most qualified candidate for New York City Controller, and I just want to give you a couple of key points in my background. I started out as an attorney. Then I went into Governor Mario Cuomo's administration as Deputy Superintendent of Banking for New York State, or Deputy Commissioner of Banking for New York State, which was a 500-person agency. The Controller's Office has about 800 employees, so I have managerial experience there. But I also had a 25-year Wall Street career in municipal finance, in public finance, which is directly relevant to the Controller's Office when it comes to the capital budget for the city, building schools, building housing, infrastructure needs. So directly relevant experience. And the most important experience, I think, is I chaired the Finance Committee of the City Council for 8 years, and back after 9/11. And I helped New York City get out of two major fiscal crises. One was right after 9/11, when we had a multi-billion-dollar deficit. And then we had a 2008, 2009 recession on Wall Street, and we overcame that. And then I got elected to the Assembly in 2010, and I've been in the Assembly now for almost 12 years. And so 20 years of elective office, but I've always supported, both in the City Council and in the Assembly, programs, gifted programs, talented programs. I represented both in the Council and the Assembly, School District 26, which has always been one of the highest performing school districts in the city. And I've always been a huge supporter of gifted and talented programs of different screen schools. And I've been a strong supporter of the SAT test and not changing that. The answer, I think, I know there's been a push on diversity, on some of these schools, but the answer is not to get rid of the system that has enabled, the best students to do well and excel. The answer is maybe to create new schools and more schools, that are, specialized schools. But the answer is not to change the admission standards or lower the admission standards, or to try to do some kind of quota system for diversity. I'm strongly opposed to that, and have been a strong supporter of academic programs and specialized programs and gifted and talented programs in the public school system.
You are really well known in Queens, and we have such a huge base of families in Brooklyn and Manhattan. And we actually have quite a few from other boroughs as well. But what do you want families who are really just new to learning about who you are, what you stand for in terms of academic policies, and knowing that, the families at Queller Prep, they're mostly children of immigrants, and they're trying to get into great schools. They want good opportunities. They're traveling across boroughs for different schools. What can you tell them to almost calm everyone? This has been a very, very rough and turbulent year with academics. I've been very outspoken about lowered standards in academics and my frustration with that. What can you advise to families who are outside of Queens specifically, because they really don't know you? And I'm very fortunate that I'm very familiar with you, and your campaign office is near me, but there are families who are not familiar with David Weprin, and they don't know your platform. What can you share with those families about yourself?
Yeah, well, we have a pretty good website. It's David for NYC.com. But basically, I've been in elective office for almost 20 years. I've been a strong supporter, as I mentioned, of gifted and talented programs, and to My mother herself is an immigrant to this country. She's a Cuban Jewish immigrant. She came here at the age of 8 from Cuba. She didn't speak a word of English. She became a public school teacher, a high school teacher, and she now has a pension. She's 90. She just turned 91, and she has a city's pension. And I'm one of the few candidates for controller that are committed to, investing retirees. There are about 704,000 retirees that have pensions in the city of New York, and it's a fiduciary obligation as controller. And I think it's important that we get the best investments and the best returns on assets, and not use the pension funds to make political statements as other people are doing. Just like we want excellence in academia, in our educational system, we don't want to use the pension funds for political statements. We want to try to get the best returns on the pension funds. Another thing I've been saying is I'm committed to opening up borough offices, to open up a controller's office in every borough. And those offices could be liaisons to the community. They'd be primarily focused on helping bring back small businesses post-pandemic. A lot of more than 50% of the employment in New York City come out of small businesses. And it's important, a small business like Weprin. And it's important that we help small businesses. And I want to use those borough offices in all 5 boroughs to focus on helping small businesses and have them recover from the pandemic. There are also a lot of programs that are available from the federal government, from the state government, from the city government, because of the stimulus money, because of the pandemic. And those offices will help navigate some of those programs and financial services, and help small businesses, to help them recover. And that's one of the things I'm committed to do. And as far as education
what I want to do really
in the controllers.
I'm so sorry to cut you off. I want to make sure, because I know that you're so pressed for time, and I want to make sure that the parents, because this was the big question, what can you do specifically? And this is the last question that I'm going to ask you, because I know that you have to go, and I appreciate that you're taking this time so much during a campaign week to be here right now. What can you do specifically to prevent the eradication of the SHSAT? As you know, there are certain organizations right now who just want to do away with the test, defund the entire specialized high school system. They just want to get rid of these schools that, quite a few refer to as the jewels and the crown jewels of New York City. What can you specifically do in your position that you are running for to prevent that from happening, which so many parents from the Queller Prep community want to keep the exam, the testing, the high academic standards in place? What can you do if elected?
Well, I'm one of 3 citywide elected officials: the mayor, the controller, and the public advocate. We're the largest office other than the mayor, with 800 employees, about close to 800 employees. And I've been speaking out everywhere in favor of that. But one of the things I'd like to do is use the audit function more efficiently. And the city charter only requires the controller to audit some aspect of every city agency once every 4 years. To me, we should be doing annual audits, and we should start with the Department of Ed, because that's the largest department. It's about $32 billion. And an interesting statistic about the Department of Ed, and also something else I've been saying, is the outside contracting budget of the city of New York is about 20%. And a lot of those outside contracts haven't been audited. And I'd like to audit the large outside contracts and find savings, and use those savings to save money in the Department of Ed, and keep our talented and gifted programs, and keep our academic standards up. So, there's a lot of waste in these outside contracts, and a lot of waste in the Department of Ed itself that we could do in an audit of the Department of Ed. But there's no question that we need to preserve our academic standards for a lot of these programs. And that's something I could delve into in the audit function, because audits can also be done for performance purposes. And I think if we go into these audits, we'll discover that these programs are working. And if it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they say. So I will certainly advocate after an audit why we should keep these programs in place. And I am committed to keeping the SAT test the way it is.
David, I want to say thank you so much. And I'm going to conclude by saying that I hope you win. It is an honor to see how responsive you are, how incredible it is that you're making time for this really quick 10-minute meet and greet. We're going to share this very widely with our huge distribution list at Queller Prep. And I'm really excited about the audit process you're going to do. And I'm going to give you a little audit homework once you're elected. I want you to audit IXL, and I want to find out what happened with that Carranza contract, because that's very interesting for many families to know why there was so much remote learning taking place. And we really look forward to you helping us to reopen schools, to go in full capacity, to go full speed ahead into raising the bar, maintaining high academic standards in all 5 boroughs, so that every single student has walking distance access to an excellent school. And that's a very big priority with the community at Queller Prep. We are currently in a mailing list of 12,000 families strong. And I really want to share with you that it is an honor. We will be sharing this video with the families, and we will definitely be sharing your views. I very much want to add that David was not coached, was not rehearsed. He had no prompt at all in terms of what to talk about. I'm simply aware that you are someone in the community who does support high academic standards. And that's why I asked you to be part of this Zoom right now. Thank you, David Weprin. Thank you for doing this. Good luck with your campaign for comptroller. I hope that you win, and we will be voting this week. We are so excited about the election and the change.
Thank you, Francis. I just want to point out that early voting has started. There will be early voting. It's not in every location. There are only certain locations, but the polls will be open next Tuesday. It's just a week away, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in your regular polling site on primary day, June 22nd. And it's important because this is such an important election. We're going to elect a new mayor, a new controller, a new most of the city council. But in the case of the controller, we're going to have a multi-billion-dollar deficit for a number of years to come. We got aid from Washington this year, so we got through our budget, but we really need somebody with experience to help bring us out of this financial mess that we're going to be in for probably about 4 or 5 years. So I am committed to academic excellence and to maintaining, these programs. Those should not be cut under any circumstances. But I really feel that my background is suited to help bring us out of this potential fiscal mess. Because if we don't come out of it, and if we don't get the pension funds over 7% every year, the city is responsible for making up the difference, because the retirees are guaranteed a minimum of 7%. And if we fall below 7%, the general city budget has to make up the difference, and and that could result in potential budget cuts or layoffs, and we don't want to see that. But I certainly would prioritize educational programs regardless. But I just think it's important to have the type of background that I have to run for controller, especially when you're dealing with a fiscal crisis.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I actually did not know quite a lot of the information you just shared with us, and many of the families will appreciate it. David, thank you for supporting every single family that is working class, that has come from a different array and different variety. Please remember that there are many, many families who are in New York City in the first place for the purpose of giving their child an education that they did not have a generation prior. So please, with the eye on the ball, make sure that you do everything in your power to keep this SHSAT, to keep these exams in place. We can't dilute the academic standards. We need to make sure that kids have something to aim for. And quite a lot of students prepare for these exams years in advance. They need to look forward to the rigor, the challenge, and the difficulties. And we need to raise the bar academically. Please, David, if elected, promise us.
I totally agree.
The bar.
I totally agree.
Not eliminate math.
I said it before you asked the question.
That's what I want to hear, David. Thank you so much, David Weprin. It is an honor. I'm really excited to share this with the distribution list, and we look forward. Thank you, David. Thank you for doing this. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.